There are certain moments when history and fate meet at a single time in a single place to shape a turning point in man's unending search for freedom. The Battle of Salamis in 480 BC was one of those rare moments. Themistocles was convinced that the Persians would attack Greece, and just 3 years before the Battle of Salamis, he convinced his fellow Athenians to finance the construction of a large fleet of triremes. This would prove to be a very wise decision. Themistocles was right, and the Persians attacked Greece. In late September 480 BC, the allied Greek fleet warships engaged the huge Persian fleet in the narrow Salamis Strait. The Athenians could see their homes burning in the background. The battle began. The Greek fleet was severely outnumbered. Just under 400 Greek warships were ranged against 1,000 on the Persian side. Against the odds, the Greeks won the Battle of Salamis and stopped the Persian invasion. The key element of this victory was the 200 Athenian triremes. This huge historic victory meant the modern world was influenced by Greece rather than Persia, and the Athenian navy developed into the backbone of Europe's first democracy. The naval bases in Piraeus, in essence, are the physical remains of that extraordinary historical development. The trireme won her undying legacy at the Battle of Salamis. Athens had turned to the sea, and because of her naval supremacy, Athens became a superpower for nearly 2 centuries. The navy's critical role boosted the importance of the port city Piraeus. The 3 main naval bases in Piraeus housed hundreds of triremes that served as the primary arm of Athenian power. Kantaros, which also served as Athens' commercial harbour, accommodated 94 warships. The smallest naval base, Munichia, had room for 82 triremes. Extraordinarily, the largest base at Zea housed 196 warships. By the late 4th century BC, these 3 naval bases could house a grand total of 372 triremes. The ship sheds covered an area of roughly 110,000 square meters. It's no exaggeration to say that the naval bases in Piraeus were among the largest building complexes of the ancient world. The warships were prone to damage, not only at sea and in battle, but also in the harbour when they returned from missions. In the early 5th century BC, Athens had realized that ship sheds were essential if they were to maintain a huge fleet. In Piraeus, ship sheds were long parallel buildings, each 6.5 meters wide and up to 80 meters long, consisting of ramps that sloped up and away from the water's edge, and side passages on each side of the ramp for hauling and maintenance crews. They were covered by a monumental superstructure comprising stone colonnades, walls and tiled roofs. The trireme was extremely vulnerable. When not at sea, the warships were hauled out of the water and stored in ship sheds to prevent their hulls from being consumed by woodworms. It took 140 men to pull a trireme into a ship shed. And the trireme required covered shelter from the fierce heat of the Mediterranean sun, which over time dried and shrank the hull timbers, thereby creating leaks. Mediterranean winters were also destructive as rainwater caused timber swelling and fungal decay. Without ship sheds, a fleet would be rendered useless in a relatively short period of time. The fleet and naval bases were protected on the land and seaside by a sophisticated fortification system. Two roughly 7-kilometer-long fortification walls connected the land fortifications of Athens with those of Piraeus. Towards the sea, two massive fortified moles protected the three harbour entrances to Piraeus. The first moles were probably built after a failed Spartan sneak attack from the sea on Piraeus in 429 BC at the beginning of the Peloponnesian War. In Munichia harbour, the monumental southern fortified mole was 10 meters wide, 15 meters tall, and 145 meters long. The moles had a dual function as breakwaters and fortifications, and effectively created city gates towards the sea that could be closed with huge chains. The architectural glories of the Athenian Acropolis stood in second place to her naval bases, according to an unknown writer who wrote, "O Athens, queen of all cities, how fair your naval base, how fair your Parthenon, how fair your Piraeus." One man, Themistocles, and his extraordinary vision changed the course of history.